Hello, my name is Karleigh Pearson. I am the director of Lucky Boy Agency. Welcome to episode 1 of our podcast, where we delve into the fun and chaotic world that is the creative industry. We'll be chatting with business owners and freelancers who have navigated the highs and lows of the industry and successfully turned their passions into a successful career. This podcast is for anyone who is interested in a behind the scenes look of the creative industry. Maybe you're a seasoned professional, or maybe you're just starting out or wanting to start out. It's for those who want to hear real stories, learn practical tips, and be inspired by paths that other creatives have taken. In our very first episode, we are speaking to the freelancing queen, Kriti. Kriti is a creative in every sense of the word and has spent the last decade marketing, creating, coordinating, and producing. She's worked for big and small brands across the globe, specializing in creative direction, social strategy, commercial digital strategy, influencer management, earned media planning, and event management. Welcome, Kriti. Kriti, you have been freelancing for just over a year.
Yes.
Full-time over a year, but a little longer, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell us how you got into it?
I think it was a case of realizing that, yes, there's a corporate ladder and you can do that and you can work your way up, and it takes time and it takes a lot of patience. And I'm not a very patient person. I will accept that flaw in me. I am not a very patient person, and I like to see the tangible results and growth and all of that that really meaty stuff straight away. And basically it was kind of a moment of, it's now or never. And my mum for so long was like, you need to do your own thing. You need to do your own thing. You need to do your own thing.
That's the opposite of my mum. Honestly, when I told my mum that I quit my full-time job, I did it in a way, sorry mum, I did it in a way that I called her and I basically said, I'm about to step into a meeting. So she knew I only had limited time. I've just resigned. I'm going to be working for myself. Anyway, I've got to go. She's like, I wanted to ask you as well, because it was something that my friend and I were speaking about. Did you have many people say anything to you when you said that you were freelancing about I had a few people say to me, if it doesn't work out, you can just get another job.
Yes. I still get that.
Yeah.
At least every month.
Yeah.
At least every month. Because I think with freelancing and soul trading and running your own business, all of that type of stuff, and it all kind of blends into one at the moment, it's you're either stressed because you're so busy or you're stressed because you're not busy enough, right? There's never a happy medium when you're running your own thing. My dad, bless his soul, and he's been my biggest supporter as well, but he's always just well, if it doesn't work out, you'll get a new job in 2 days. You've done that before. And I'm like, yeah, but
it's going to work out.
Please,
Dad.
I don't want to see that on my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. Pretty freelancer, 9 months.
9 months and then back to working. No, that would be traumatizing to me. I'd be I'm packing up. I'm back home. I'm done if that happens.
And a lot of people say even things like, how's your little business going?
I think for me, because when I was in a salaried role, I would share so much of my work life online. Whereas now that I'm a freelancer, NDAs, all of that type of stuff and everything, I'm a lot more reserved about what I share on my personal socials about my work. So people are like, do you even work anymore? You're just out for lunches and in the evening. And I'm like, yeah, I do work. I just don't share it in the same way that I used to. If you want to see my work, you can look at my portfolio. That's what it's there for.
Yeah, link in bio.
Link in bio, go on the LinkedIn, it's all there.
Yeah.
But it's I guess, because I also do the content creation stuff, my own stuff. So there's so many blurring of boundaries, and I'm really trying to separate them a bit more, I think, this year, just to compartmentalize in my own head.
Yeah, love that. So how long has it been now? A year and a half, right?
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so how did you find when you went into it? What was that like?
Well, first I was doing it on the side. As I think a lot of people start off, you want to dip your toe in and see if you can handle it, both, with your own workloads and stuff like that. And just if you have the right mindset for it, I know I needed to ease myself into it. And then when it eventually got to that point where I was like, okay, all or nothing, let's go into this. It was really it was exciting at first. I was like, well, this is something that everyone else thinks I should have done ages ago. So clearly it's probably a good idea. Once the first thing came in and then the next thing came in, and I was like, okay, so I think I'm getting somewhere. I think I can make this work. And then it got to the point where I had to say no to things because I didn't have time. And I was like, oh my God.
That's amazing.
That was just the weirdest feeling in the world.
I think the biggest thing, it's probably for everyone, well, for me, was that feeling of not being able to get work is what's so scary.
Yes.
But work does come, and it all comes, like you were saying earlier, it all comes from referrals. And if you're doing well and people know you and you're working with good people, like the work just flows.
It does. It does. I think the thing is, you can get bogged down in just like trying to put pictures and stuff out there and spend so much time doing that. I personally haven't seen the same level of rewards from like cold calling and pitching as I have from the personal branding element on LinkedIn, or from being actively engaged in like Facebook groups and communities and all of that type of stuff. And networking is mostly how I've gotten most of my leads.
Yeah, I would say me too.
Yeah.
Talking about personal branding, I personally think you do that really well.
Thank you.
Because when people are looking to work with a freelancer, they're looking to know who that person is. And your Instagram is my favorite place to hang out. I'm not even joking. Not to flatter you. I love the way that you talk to your phone. Like, that is not an easy thing to master.
Everyone says that lately. I've had a few people reach out and be like, I want to do something like that for a client. And I'm like, okay, well, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just hold your phone up. Though I did realize I start all of my stories with okay, so. Yeah. And I put that on my Instagram and everyone was like, yeah, that's how you start every single one of your stories. That's your calling card.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it.
It's like you're just on FaceTime to a friend, which I love. Freelancing and working for yourself. And this is something that I've been really wanting to focus on this year as well, is focusing on my personal brand. And when I do that, that's when I start to see more work come through.
No, I think we're seeing that in a lot of businesses, right? So with beauty businesses, or even if you look at publishing companies and stuff now, people want to know who the food editor is. People want to know who's the face behind the skin cream that they're using. It's all about having that personal connection to your audience, because like everyone knows they're being sold to, yes, but we want to see more than that. So, and I think, freelancing, that's still a business. It is a business, and, running an agency. So people want to know, it's like, okay, yeah, you can do the work, but like, who are you? Yeah. Why are you doing the work?
Yeah, for sure. Like, we've seen a lot of stuff recently that are saying no one really cares about your, like, sharing your business story. Like, people want to know the founder's story.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've looked at we're this because we saw this pretty thing on the side of the road and inspired this. It's like, we know that that's mostly made up. It's like a branding story. That's what we do. That's what we help people with.
Yeah.
We know that's
mostly made up.
Mostly made up. So you find like one seed and you craft a story out of it. Yeah. Right? We're storytellers. But when people get down to the, for me, for example, like growing up in regional Queensland and stuff, and for some reason that comes up in conversations so often now, because they're like, what was it like? Did you tip cows in regional Queensland? And I'm like, no, but that did help me understand how to then talk to people from different communities and really understand the differences between different stages of life. And I think that's really transversed into the way that I approach any business meeting or any conversation or any relationship, because it's the way that I speak to, say, this glass of water, like that was water. The product. Yeah, it's water. That old, how do you sell this pen? Yeah. But now it's more about, well, why do you want to sell this pen? Not how you sell this pen.
Speaking about like your day-to-day freelancing life, do you often get out of the house, or do you real talk?
Real talk. So I have like a dedicated 2 days a week that I'm out of the house for like different like client stuff that I have to be there in person for. But sometimes I have gone about 6 days without leaving the house. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be like, everything's beautiful. Like some days I wake up at 6 a.m. Yeah. haven't even left my bed. I just pull my laptop up because I'm that busy. And I'm sitting there and it's 10 o'clock and I realize I haven't brushed my teeth. I haven't had a coffee. I haven't even had a glass of water. And
just straight
into it. But no one tells you, like, everyone's just like, here's my morning routine before, like, here's me going for a walk. And like, yeah, I do that some days, but there's, you know, it's the paradox of life. Like some weeks I literally will wake up at 7, get on the computer before I realize that it's midnight. And this is why my physical therapist hates me, because I have not left like that one working station the whole day. And I think as freelancers, I've now gotten into this point where I've started time blocking my calendar a lot better. And so every 2 hours, there's an alert that goes off and it's like, walk for 5 seconds even, like just get up and walk to the kitchen and walk back if you have to.
Yeah. Anything.
Just anything.
Yeah.
The bare minimum. But yeah,
do you find it ever isolating?
Yes. I do this thing though with a couple of my mates when we're, I guess, in that situation where we're both working so much, we'll put ourselves on FaceTime with each other.
That's nice.
Especially because I mostly work from home or I work from like a co-working space. And yeah, we just put ourselves on FaceTime with each other. And then I do this thing where I talk out loud a lot while I'm working. I also sing while I work.
Yeah, me too.
For some stupid reason.
Or a little laugh here and there.
Yeah. I'm like, or I'll literally be like, that's so stupid.
Don't you feel like, I don't know if you do this thing when you've been alone for ages and just randomly say a sentence out loud to yourself?
I start talking to my television.
Yeah.
I talk to the flowers in my house.
Yeah.
Like, I sound like if someone were to like walk into the house on like that 4th day, they would have think I've like completely lost this plot.
Yeah. It definitely can be isolating when you are home. Like you're getting through so much work. Yeah. So part of it feels really good.
It feels rewarding at the same time, but you notice part of your brain is feeling rewarded and you feel that serotonin, but then the other half of your brain is like, you are so burning yourself out. You're making yourself sick by doing this.
Yeah.
So it's just making sure to get that balance. And I don't think I've cracked the balance. I don't think anyone who says they fully has either.
Yeah.
It's something that's always going to go up and down.
That's with anything. No one has it all figured out. And what's going to work for you is
not going to work for everyone. No way.
Yeah. So what's your experience like being in co-working spaces?
I really like them for when you're working on projects for like other freelancers or something like that. So it's nice if you're working on like a little project together and stuff like that to come together. I know I wouldn't use it enough to pay for a space every single day. So
just here and there.
Yeah, just here and there. So that's why I like it for that. And it's great for meetings. They always have like sparkling water on tap. So our little sparkling water addiction works out well.
Oh my God. It would just literally pay for itself.
That would pay
for
making
itself. Money. Girl math.
On Tuesdays, I think they have breakfast or something like that. They've got like different activities and stuff. Movie nights. I know like with International Women's Day and stuff like that, they do things. So I think that community element that you miss when you're in like an office, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in like a big corporation and you have those, I guess those social events that come with being in a big corporate office, that's where that comes in at the best, I feel.
And you said before, networking, like you've had a lot of success with networking events.
Yes.
And I'm the same. I have actually a lot of our clients, I have actually met either the client or someone that's worked in the organization through networking event. I think a lot of the time you can, especially when something happens, right, you can feel like it can feel like the biggest thing in the world to you because you think no one's ever gone through this. But when you're in a community, you can have that conversation with other people and you can realize, okay, I'm not alone. Other people have been through this, and it just really makes that problem or that issue seem so small. Like put it into perspective.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've been doing in the last 6-7 months or so is there's obviously not a lot of women of color in media or in like all of that type of stuff. And there's only a few writers and editors, a few people in like the freelance media creative space. And so I'll like find them online and start following them and then like, you know, organically kind of build that relationship there. And so one of the person that I'm staying with in Melbourne at the moment, actually, we met online like Internet 6 months ago.
Amazing.
'Cause she's, you know, a junior writer And so that's how we connected. And she's also from the Gold Coast as well. So it was like all of those little dots. And I really love that because it doesn't feel forced because it's not like I'm seeking them out, like, yes, be my friend in like that kind of way. Like I'll probably like see an article or something and I'm like, oh, cool. Like I really liked that piece. Or I'll see like something like that. And it's so funny because I remember when we were growing up, it was like, don't talk to strangers on the internet.
Totally.
And now that's literally all we do.
Yeah.
Literally all we do.
Yeah. Social networking is a real thing now.
I think I do that more than in-person networking.
Yeah.
Most of my networking is definitely through online. I think that's also because there's not enough hours of the day to go
Totally.
to a lot of networking events. And then I know I mentioned like networking events, but I don't think I've seen success in like the organized networking events, like the type of committee type of stuff. Mostly because the ones that I've been to, there's been a big, I guess, discrepancy of interest around their like, you know, directors at like big corporations, been around in the industry for like 30, 40 years. And then there's like one or two of us who are, you know, in our late 20s, early 30s, and it's they're only wanting to essentially network with people at that because they're trying to develop partnerships in that aspect. And so there's kind of like, it feels like school in a way because there's like two different groups.
Yeah.
And I'm eager to see how those groups kind of merge more over, and I'm slowly starting to see it, but I think it's still, there's so much difference in the space still between like that young social media generation that I guess we fall into versus like that old traditional print out of home advertising. And they're slowly merging, but it's just, I just love watching those conversations because I'm like, you're learning stuff from them and you're learning stuff from them, but you don't want to like do it too much because you then feel, I mean, tall poppy syndrome in Australia, right?
Yeah.
It's such a big thing.
Absolutely.
And it's like, okay, well, if you know this, but then you could take my job and vice versa. I don't want to help you sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. I find that some networking events as well can be like very salesy, which I don't like. I like the networking events that are a little bit more laid back. And then you can just organically meet people and then, you know, over time, like maybe there's something there in the future. Yeah. But the networking events that you go to where everyone's pitching themselves, it's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's never been me to be too salesy.
No.
Do you think that the rise of TikTok has completely changed everything?
Oh, yeah. Everyone wants to be a business owner.
Yeah.
I think everyone wants to be a business owner. Everyone wants to do their own thing because they are seeing the tangible rewards of people who are doing their own thing. And and if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. You can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
And I feel like
previously, we couldn't see that though.
Yeah.
It was all behind closed doors. We couldn't see that if you put your mind to it, essentially, if you're like, I want to do this and I'm going to put in the effort to do this, then it can happen. But 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, even before TikTok really popped off, it was just like I have this idea, but I don't know how to make it happen. Now, the world's your oyster.
Totally.
And I think that's
people
great.
are a little bit more empowered to go out on their own.
Yeah.
I think even freelancing, it's become more celebrated because I think people heard freelancing in the past and thought, you must be, you know, eating 2-minute noodles and don't know when the next paycheck's coming in. But now it's a little bit more widely accepted.
It's a little bit more lucrative as well. Yeah, I remember when I completely agree when my mom was like, okay, set up an agency, do your own thing, go freelance. I was like, I live out of home by myself. How am I going to do that? Somehow I made it work. But it was just this idea of the only person you can rely on is yourself during that, right? And that's a very, very scary decision to make, to be like, okay, I'm going to do this by myself. And that's why so many people have business partners. And I think that's, if I do go in that direction, and I ideally would want to at some point, I'm just trying to find the right person because I know that it's so isolating at the best of times, even when you do have a business partner. So if you don't have anyone, then I don't think I'd be able to do it. And I think it's important for me to recognize that.
I have a business partner and I still find it hard when things come up, asking questions that we don't know the answers to. So being solo, when things happen or you don't know the answers, you completely have to back yourself 100%.
I spend
at all times.
so much time on like Reddit and TikTok and like, has anyone else gone through this?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. And I do it anonymously as well because I don't want anyone to know that I'm going through it.
Yeah.
Which is why I have that praise folder.
Yeah. Tell me about the praise folder.
Okay. So basically whenever I, even if it's just simple, like 3 words, it'll be like, good job, Kriti. I'll just like screenshot it, crop it so I don't have like all of the useless stuff of like timestamp and everything, and put in a little note. And then it's just like a little album in my phone so that whenever I do have like imposter syndrome or I'm having a really bad day or I wake up one morning and I'm like, I hate my job. I don't know how to do anything. How did I even get here? And then go through that and I'm like, actually, here's like some tangible results. Like I think there's like even screenshots of like bar graphs of like numbers going up or something like that, of someone sending it and being like, great job, Kriti. This is exactly what we were talking about.
Amazing.
But it sounds silly to have like a folder like that on your phone. I get that to an extent. It sounds very conceited. But I also think that it's so important to have that stuff for yourself.
I think so. What works for me is, and I also heard it off the Jay Shetty podcast, the episode with Kendall Jenner. If you haven't listened to it, it's really good.
Do you realize he's being cancelled at the moment?
Why?
He never had a decree.
Oh, this is like some shit from Suits.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He never had a degree.
There's a big Guardian expose that came out last week.
Oh, shit. No way.
Yeah.
He doesn't
lied about his like behavioral science degree.
Oh. He does not have imposter syndrome.
No.
He has the opposite.
He has the opposite of imposter syndrome.
Oh, okay. I'll be looking into that deep dive tonight. That's me at 2 a.m. deep dive. Jay Shetty. So in this episode with Kendall Jenner, she talks about having a photo of herself as a kid.
Yes.
And when you're saying mean stuff about yourself, like you're saying mean stuff about her.
Yeah.
And she is so sweet, as if you would ever say anything about her. She's just inside you. Yeah. So that works really well for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having something that works for you to like bring you back into check.
Bring you back into check.
Yeah.
And like, it's not like I show it to people. It's like, it's in my phone. Hey, look at all of this fun praise I got. Look at all the good things I did. Yeah. No, it's just like, it's for myself.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
Can you talk to any like challenges?
Yeah. I think one of the things that I really struggle with is invoicing. I'm so behind on my invoices right now. Yeah. I'm behind on my like all of that admin stuff.
Right.
Which I know lots of people struggle with, but I feel like it just happens for some people. And for me, it doesn't magically happen. Mm-hmm. I think the other thing that I really struggled with in the beginning was switching. I mean, I still struggle with switching off to an extent. I mean, I'm a social strategist. My screen time is like 12 hours a day. It's insane.
I know. When I see that pop up, I think, I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see that. But also, can you imagine if it included your laptop screen time plus your mobile phone screen time?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be traumatizing.
Maybe 18.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
That's okay.
It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah. Wow. So crazy. Hey.
Yeah. So I've gotten to the stage where on the weekends I don't actually open my emails anymore, whereas I used to all the time.
Yeah.
And even in terms of going on my own personal social media on the weekends, I don't do it as much anymore. My screen time on the weekend is like an hour, 2 hours tops.
That's amazing.
But that took me years to get to that point because I would go on holidays overseas and I'd be replying. I was in Greece replying to emails.
Amazing.
I was like, well, it's not like I'm a doctor. It's not like, no one was dying.
ER. Yeah. We used to say it's PR, not ER.
Yeah.
But I think especially when you're starting out, you just want everything to be so perfect that the idea that someone is not 100% happy with you all the time is too much to handle. I was in Queenstown responding to emails, so I know how you feel, but I have also gotten a lot better. I would check my emails 9 p.m. right before I went to bed, which was always really fun.
That's really hard to switch off after that.
Yeah, it is, especially if you see an email that you kind of want to reply to. And also when you're working from home too.
Yeah.
It's like, when do you stop work?
When do you stop? Well, that's the thing. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
As I was saying, sometimes I don't. And my partner would come over and he's like, you have not moved all day. I'm like, I have. I moved my fingers constantly all day.
The fingers are feeling good.
His fingers are feeling great.
Yeah.
There was this article that I saw this week, actually. And it was an article. It wasn't a TikTok. I'm not lying when I say that.
That's all. I read this.
You did not read that. It was a 15-second TikTok. Do not lie to us.
Yeah. People always say that.
Yeah.
I read this. Did you? Did you read the caption on the TikTok video?
Yeah, exactly.
Because same.
No, but this was actually a study that came out this week.
Okay.
And it was how the rise of like remote working and working from home has made us feel like we have to respond to like Slack notifications right away. I know I get that. I'm like, I always say, oh, so sorry that it took me so long to reply. It's been 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's been 5 minutes, Kriti.
Yeah.
It did not, no.
I feel like what I've also worked on as well is, setting boundaries with responding to things, because when you respond so quickly,
They expect you to respond quickly every time.
like instant message. And I remember when I was really early on and I had a beautiful client send me like a follow-up message, hey, and it had been like a couple of hours, but that's my own fault because I'm normally on comms because I'm always on my laptop.
Exactly.
I'm doing something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just getting better with slowing down the responses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sometimes it's literally just a question of what date is this on, or like what date is this event?
And you
like,
go, I'll just quickly reply.
Yeah, you're quick. I'm like, oh, I know that in my head I can reply quickly.
Yeah.
But it's less about the fact that you know it and can reply quickly and more about, setting those expectations, laying those boundaries so that when it is something crucial and you don't reply straight away,
It's not the end of the world. Yeah. Looking back over the past, I guess like year and a half that you've been full-time, do you feel proud of yourself and how far you've come? Like you're working with some amazing clients. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when I left to do just freelancing full time, I just had that first client and I was like, well, I have this contract for 2 months and then we'll see what happens after that. Like,
amazing.
And then it just kind of kept going. And I think the only thing that stresses me out is, again, love my parents, but my dad would call me like every couple of days and he's like, so where are you up to with your contracts? And I'm like, exactly the same as I was 3 days ago. Nothing's changed in 3 days. And he's like, the next week. And I'm like, yep, Dad's still until the end of April or still until the end of May. Like I've got work lined up till then. And he's like, okay. 3 days later, the same question. I'm like, that drove me insane. I eventually had to get to a point and I set my dad down and I was like, you cannot keep doing this. You are putting me under stress.
Yeah.
For no, and he's like, I'm just trying to ask you about work. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah. They're just trying to say the right thing.
Yeah. Freelancing and starting your own business and all of that type of stuff wasn't really a thing. Well, it wasn't an option for my parents as immigrants. It was come here, get a salary job, put your kids into a good school, and then and I guess the expectations for us was also like, we get a good salary job, we do the exact same thing. Yeah. And then it was like, I'm definitely the black sheep of the family. I'm the one who's like, I'm going to do something creative. I'm going to like make pictures and stuff for a living and film videos and,
Do you feel like your parents fully understand what you do for work?
Oh, God, no. God, no. I don't think anyone in my family does.
Yeah. They say content creation. Cool.
Yeah. I've definitely asked my parents, I'm like, what do you think I do? And my dad's like, well, you do marketing. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll cluster under that. That falls under that bracket. He's like, yeah, I did a marketing degree. I get marketing. And I'm like, what do you get about marketing? And he's like, ads, money. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very traditional.
Very traditional.
Billboard.
Revenue.
Yeah.
But my family back home in India, I think they still think I study architecture. So
you say kind of.
I think they still think I'm studying. I don't think they know what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of mystery.
Yeah. I saw this thing. This was a TikTok. I saw this TikTok and it was off the back of, that Friends episode or like the whole shtick in Friends, how no one knows what Chandler does for a living. So essentially having a night with your friends where you do a PowerPoint presentation to explain what you do for work. Because I don't understand half of what my friends do for work either.
No, I know their job titles and nothing else.
I know because job titles and what you actually do on a day-to-day basis have changed so much.
Yeah. So my last question for you is, what would you say to someone that was working a corporate job and kind of thinking about maybe starting out on their own? What advice would you give?
I think the best thing that I did was actually reach out to people who did the exact same thing, but maybe like 5 years ago. And now at the beginning, it was more of a mentor-mentee relationship like a year ago, and now we're equals. And building that relationship so that they see you in that same way and vice versa, taking that knowledge from them. You're also giving knowledge to them because it's a different skill set now. And that's how I made some of my closest connections and friends in the industry. So like I said, there's a lot of Facebook groups out there. The only reason I use Facebook is for that. People message me on Facebook. I don't reply. I'm like, I don't use this.
Like, oh, are you coming to my baby shower?
I was like,
haven't seen that.
No.
Can you text me?
Can you text me?
Yeah.
But Facebook groups, like there's, Find a Finder's feed. There's a couple of like media circle groups, Digital Marketers Australia. And after a while, you start noticing the same faces. And so that's how you build those connections.
Yeah.
You reach out and it's like, hey, I saw this and I'm thinking about doing this. And I know it's such an overused cliche of reach out to other people, but I would not be where I am if I didn't talk to people around me at the time where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need to work out what I'm doing. I need to work out if I want to stay, in a corporate job or if I want to go off and do my own thing. It's been in the back of my mind for so long. And I probably had the same conversation with 20 different people. It wasn't just like one person and I was like, okay, yep, I'm done. I'm going. It was like I was a broken record for a little bit and you didn't do it.
Yeah, you do. I feel like no one or a lot of people who do freelance, they don't do it lightly, for lack of a better word. Like you're often thinking about it for a very long time and like dipping your toe in, figuring out, is this what I want? And just by talking to different people. Yeah, I would think like my biggest advice, especially with if you have specific brands that you want to create content for, like if you want to create the content for them, just create the content for them. Yeah. And that's been our biggest success is if there's a brand that we really want to work for or a type of brand, like if it's a beverages company or whatever, just start creating that content and say, hey, look what we did for you.
Look what we did for you.
For free.
For free.
Yeah. So that's been our biggest thing. And then for me as well, just going out and meeting people, talking to people, in-person networking, and then social networking through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Go back to your roots. I reconnected with another friend recently.
That's great advice.
Yeah. Go back to your roots. Okay, because there's going to be so many people from that early stages of your life that you haven't really thought about when you're getting to this point in life because you're like, oh, that was from when I was 12.
Yeah.
What do we have in common? You have so much in common.
Yeah.
You have so much in common. So there's this other girl that I've reconnected with recently. She also works in PR. We used to live together in Rockhampton. So when I was 12, and I saw her pop up in the Facebook group the other day that I'm in, and I was like, you're back in the country. Like, can't believe you're like back on the Gold Coast and you're working in PR. Like, we're doing the same, like similar industries. Like, how crazy is that? So that's actually the bigger one. Go back to your roots.
Yeah, that's great advice.